Last time we had a conversation about Mary and how I believe she is autistic coded in GRIMGAR. Today we're going to be talking about Ranta and how he is very coded to have ADHD. In my video with Mary, I've mentioned that you could definitely make arguments that she's just very traumatized, but also before she was even sent to GRIMGAR, she had symptoms of autism. So that's essentially where my argument for her stands. However, for Ranta, it's less that he's coded to have ADHD, and it feels more like the writer took almost nearly every symptom of ADHD and put it into a character. Ranta has almost every single symptom. Keep in mind that stuff like ADHD and autism are both spectrum disorders, so someone can actually not have certain symptoms that other people with ADHD do have. For example, ADD is now just considered outdated because people realize people with ADD just have ADHD, they just don't have the symptom of hyperness. So you can be someone with ADHD without being super energetic and hyper. Also, I have seen people talking about Ranta having ADHD, and I've seen people disregard all of his symptoms to just say that he is stupid. Let me make this very clear. Ranta is a person with ADHD who just happens to also be a fucking idiot. None of the stuff that Ranta does is excusable because he has ADHD. You can be someone with ADHD and manage it well without being a moron. So feel free to call Ranta a fucking moron in the comments because he is absolutely 100% a moron who just happens to also have ADHD. So if you're new to these videos, what I'm going to do is basically list off a bunch of symptoms that people with ADHD generally have. And I'll discuss in parts of the light novel where Ranta has shown these symptoms. If you like videos like this, hit the like button, share, tell me in the comments down below, and let's get started. Let's talk about one of the more well-known symptoms, having short attention spans. Quite frankly, I don't know if I have to go into that much detail about this. Ranta having a short attention span is everywhere in every version of the story. Anime, light novel, manga, it's everywhere. To give you understanding of how bad Ranta's attention span actually is, originally Ranta was supposed to be the tank of their party. In Volume 1, Moguzu wasn't in the party quite yet, and Ranta was either going to be a paladin or a fighter. He heard about the Dread Knights, thought they were cool, and just lost focus and walked off into the Dread Knights Guild. That is literally what happened to the guy. Also, for the record, impulsivity is another symptom of ADHD, and I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but it's there. This leads us to our next symptom, fidgeting or not being able to really stand still. Whenever Ranta needs to wait on anything in the light novel, he will pace, stomp his foot, or just move around and annoy people constantly. So keep in mind, I'm not saying that being annoying is a symptom of ADHD. I'm actually gonna take a moment to explain why people with ADHD do stuff like fidgeting and kind of sometimes purposely get into arguments because they think it's kind of fun. People with ADHD, specifically like me, have a problem when they can't get dopamine. Our brains just do not regulate it properly. Ranta gets a lot of dopamine from attention, regardless of the type of attention. So he actually likes to argue with people and talk to people and like just be really annoying sometimes because it gets him a lot of dopamine, essentially. That's how that generally works. It's something that happens with people with ADHD a lot. Him pacing, him not standing still also helps him get some dopamine as well, and it's something that a lot of people with ADHD also do when they are essentially understimulated. In Volume 5, when Haru and his party are waiting for the Tokis to show up, Ranta's just sitting there pacing, complaining constantly about the fact that they're taking way too long to get there. In his defense, they were waiting for about an hour or two, but he was just losing his cool really quickly. Next symptom, and this one I feel to my core, being unable to stick to tasks that are tedious and time-consuming. Oh god, I feel that. Anyway, in Volume 6 of GRIMGAR, Ranta and his friends, along with the Tokis, are tasked with digging a massive hole to trap giants in. Everyone, including Anna, funny enough, had to dig holes for basically days. And Ranta the entire time was slacking off and just did not continue working consistently to the point where everyone started yelling at him. He would take very long breaks in the middle of digging instead of actually helping for the majority of it. It was a really annoying mess, and I don't blame them for yelling at him, quite frankly. And throughout early parts of the light novel, whenever Ranta had to do chores, he had trouble actually getting them done. Well, at least it's implied he had trouble getting them done. They don't really address it too much in the light novel. And he would do stuff like oversleep or just like not do the task he's ordered to do because he would kind of just be distracted or just not do it. I'm not exactly sure because they don't go into that much detail in the light novel. Talking excessively.
Did you know that if you stop talking, we don't have to hear your annoying ass?
Yeah, I don't think I really need to explain this one. Another one that's making me kind of go, ugh. This is one I did not know was an actual symptom until I started reading up about ADHD more. Little to no sense of danger. Ranta actually constantly tries to go into dangerous situations, like pushes friends to keep hunting goblins for more money, even though they're all tired, specifically because he needs more money, which we'll get to the whole money thing in a bit. But Ranta's always trying to push the party to do more dangerous things than they're most likely equipped to be able to handle. That is sometimes seen as a good thing, I will say. However, it's very clear that compared to the rest of his party, Ranta's ability to understand danger is a lot less than theirs is. That's not to say that there are moments where they could go farther and possibly get higher rewards for taking more risks, because those are there. That's actually a talking point in Volume 2. Other symptoms that is actually kind of basically just part of Ranta's personality at this point is not being really good with money. That's something that a lot of people with ADHD have problems with, is managing your money and managing how much you're impulsively buying stuff. Ranta, throughout the first light novel all the way till like the 4th or 5th, was constantly poor because he would just waste his money on stuff that we don't know about. He would also be very reckless at throwing away stuff like his betrayer in Volume 4 because he found a prettier, nicer sword and he just kind of threw it away like an idiot instead of keeping it. And he then had to buy a whole new sword later on. And one of my favorite moments with Ranta in Volume 3, when him and his friends started to go on a mission to go to Deadhead Keep, the initial payout for the mission is up front. I believe it was 50 silver. He lost all 50 silver in less than a week. Really let that sink in. That's a lot of money to spend in a week. There are more symptoms that Ranta does have, but this video is getting kind of long, so we're going to finally say that Ranta has a thing when it comes to hyperfixating on particular things. Ranta focuses a lot on being a really good Dread Knight. Whether people agree with it, whether or not he's a good Dread Knight or not, is kind of up in the air, but Ranta, in my eyes, is generally a pretty damn good Dread Knight. He focuses on getting new abilities and actually practicing them and using them in combat a lot. And he, out of everyone in his party, is very focused on self-improvement when it comes to at least combat. So what I'm saying is, Ranta hyperfixates on fighting a lot to get better. He's actually really interested in becoming the best fighter he can possibly be. And currently in the light novel, Haru, his party, I'm not going to go into too much spoilers, is kind of in a situation where Ranta realistically is possibly the strongest person in their party. And because Ranta's so interested in actually becoming such a good Dread Knight, he's actually made up his own moves. Granted, these moves all have stupid names that he yells out constantly. These are actual skills that he uses in combat, and they actually have actual effects in combat. He's actually a pretty damn good swordsman now. And finally, this could be the last thing I talk about for this video before I say goodbye. Ranta as a character, his biggest thing that is driving him as a character and his biggest theme is self-accountability. Ranta, while I do say he has ADHD, it's not ever an excuse for being the way he is to people. He treats people very poorly, and his overall character arc is realizing that he is the problem. And while he wants to be true to himself, that does not mean that he should be a Ranta that is bad to everyone else around him. Ultimately, Ranta's character arc was becoming a better person who deserves to be cared about by everyone around him. And as somebody who has ADHD, I have to say, when I was younger, I also acted a lot like Ranta. Not with the whole being a creepy, gropey piece of shit, but some of the stuff I would say and some of the stuff that I would do that was very impulsive is very much like Ranta when I was younger. And I like seeing characters like Ranta being able to have these kind of like actions, but being able to take accountability for himself and become a better person. He gets stuck in a forest for about 3 years by himself, and he only has to interact with himself. And he realized he doesn't really like himself all that much. So he realizes that he needs to get better and become a better person. In the newest light novels, he's so much of a nicer person. He doesn't even snap at people anymore. He's a little snarky sometimes, but he's kind of kinder now. And for anybody who has ADHD and is going through these things, just know, don't take it on people around you. You should try to better yourself. Yes, ADHD is a mental disability. No, it doesn't mean that you can use that as an excuse to hurt people. You should always keep yourself accountable for your actions. While it's hard sometimes, believe me, I know, you should still try to be a better person. Thank you to all of our subscribers over on our Twitch. This week, the subscriptions for my Twitch have actually helped pay for my dog's food, which is really important because I love my dog. If you guys want a shout out at the end of my video, make sure to subscribe to my Twitch or give some money through our thanks feature here on YouTube. Okay, during my Tuesday stream, I got a bunch of new subs. Toco Bale, thank you for the sub. Nibro Games, thank you for the sub. Grayson, thank you for the sub. Josias93, thank you for the sub. Ozzy_Nas, thank you for the sub. Jonasaurus Rex, thank you for the sub. RG Has Problems, thank you for your sub. Van Hoofenstein, thank you for your sub. Avengers underscore. Average Gamer underscore, thank you for the sub. Grayson, thank you for the sub. Hysteria, thank you for your sub. Hey, take it easy, Terry, thank you for your sub. And Sangalvan, this is the worst name for anybody with dyslexia. Thank you for your sub. And a special thank you to Norberto Games for your gifted subs and RJ Has Problems for his gifted subs. I decided I was going to go back to like saying the verbal shoutouts because I did ask you guys on our community page if you like the verbal shoutouts or just me putting the picture up. I decided, fuck it, I'm just going to say thank you because I just feel like it. But again, thank you guys. Have a great night. See you guys later. Goodbye.